I believe we are live. Yeah, we are live. And
Right.
I can't see the comments of. So I think I have this like tendency of doing everything last minute with my streams, Saf. So
Okay.
forgive me for
No worries,
my
bro. No worries.
I think my audience is used to it. All right. I think this is quite good considering how bad how badly planned I normally am. So, how we doing, man? How's things? Saf, haven't seen you in a very long time.
Alhamdulillah, bro. Good. Honestly, can't complain. Not been traveling, which has been weird. It was nice to be on one time zone for some time, but now I am starting to get a little restless. But honestly speaking, like, can't complain, man. What about you?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, man. I'm good. Just same here. I was eager to get back in the office. So in the studio, we basically took. I was probably out of the studio for about 2 months during the quarantine, and then as soon as Ramadan finished, me and my brother just like we were texting each other saying, "Look, let's just get back into the studio." And alhamdulillah, we
Yeah,
because everybody else was off, it was just two of us in like a nice big studio. So
that's
and
good.
now we're pretty much back to fully functioning. So yeah, man, I'm good. I'm just happy to get things going again. I imagine you are too because you're like you said, like one of those people who's like always on his feet, always kind of here, there, and everywhere, and then all of a sudden you've had to
Yeah.
just like stay in one place.
Yeah. So with me, it's usually all or nothing. So I'm either super motivated, supercharged, getting lots of things done, or I'm an absolute bum in my joggers playing games. So being at home, it was nice to have a bit of a break because the last couple of years, especially, have been so hectic. Like, I was just like, I need to catch a break. Missed Eid last year as well. Didn't get to see the family because I was out in Cupertino and things like that, right? So this year was like, Alhamdulillah, actually having that break was very much appreciated. But now coming to August, September time, it's going to get very, very busy in the tech world. So I've kind of had to switch it on and get back into the flow of things. So, Alhamdulillah, it's going well. I mean, the weather helps. It's been nicer. So I'm like a little bit more motivated to get up, do some stuff. So yeah, man, it's been an interesting time, should we say.
Yeah, it definitely has. Well, you're saying that you're kind of like an all or nothing guy, and the thing that I wanted to speak to you about here was the idea of like productivity with technology and how you use technology kind of in a productive manner. And
Mm,
so so I guess like so much technology now exists that our life is being surrounded by it, and um, it's hard to avoid, like to the point where most of us have like smart bulbs and smart homes and everything going on. So we couldn't run away from technology even if we tried. And
mm,
I suppose like the discussion I wanted to have with both yourself and everyone kind of on the chat is the
yeah.
pros and cons of like the productivity element of technology. Like how is it making us more productive, or is it just distracting us and like masking us, like making us think we're being more productive? So what kind of like go to pieces of technology or devices do you use when it comes to like trying to stay productive?
So I'm like, you mentioned about technology, and I always say, as with everything, there's always a positive and a negative, right? One of the things I always say is, we've heard this for many years that when is technology going to merge with people? When are we going to see cyborgs, right? And I'm like, it's already happening because your smartphone is an extension of yourself, essentially, right? You have so much more knowledge, you are so much more connected with your smartphone and the technology that you have around us. I mean, if this pandemic happened, it's just so funny because I met my nieces yesterday for a socially distant sort of meeting, just get together, and one of my nieces was like, "Oh, I wish this happened a little earlier because it wouldn't affect my this," and I was like, "Oh, you kids are so privileged, man." Alhamdulillah. But if this pandemic had happened, say 15 years ago, when technology wasn't so integrated, we wouldn't be able to do this right now. You know what I mean? Me sitting here in Leicester in our extended lockdown, right? And
Yeah.
you sitting in
Of
London, like,
course.
yeah, we'd not be able to do this, right? And for me, like the positives always, I'm somebody who generally is positive and tries to stay positive, and that's something that I see from technology, that it really helps. Productivity, in a sense of productivity, it can help, but it can also be a negative element for me. Like, one of my passions is gaming, right? 10 years ago, I was a very, very, dedicated gamer. Every day I used to game. But then, I started getting into cameras and onto YouTube and things. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have to strike a balance here because I am all or nothing, right? If I carry on gaming, I'm not going to be able to put my full concentration, my full heart into this project that I'm doing. So I completely cut out gaming, and I didn't game for like many, many years, right? But now being at home has allowed me to kind of get back into that. And yes, it can be a time when you're not being productive, but what it's allowed me to do is be in connection with my friends. So we all come online. So I've got friends from Canada, US. One of the guys is from Nigeria. He logs in as well, right? And we're all on together, catching up, but at the same time playing. And that essentially has kind of really helped in a social element, right? So now I'm like getting that, the social element that I was missing out on. I'm kind of getting that through gaming, although it has made me a little bit less productive from a video side of things, right? So it's a balance which I still haven't figured out, but I'm still working on it. But I guess I'm trying to say that I'm grateful that we do have these options available right now.
Yeah, I think you're right, and I would kind of counter what you're saying. I think that you're one of the guys that I see that is like 300 days of the year going so like a full steam ahead, that the fact that
Yeah.
you're able to take a bit of break because you're forced into it, and if that like zen for you is gaming, then I think that's really cool, man. I can't remember which book it was. I want to say, because it's the one that I'm currently on now, I want to say it's How to Start Living and Stop Worrying, or How to Stop Worrying and Start Living by Dale Carnegie.
Mm.
And one of the chapters is about taking a break and the importance of
Mm.
taking a break, like the fact that you have to be able to take a break. And I think kind of an extension or more recent version of that is that Matt Diavella did a video, and his video was about the importance of taking breaks for him. So he like categorizes his breaks in days, weeks, and months, something along the lines of that. So there'll be a time in a day when he takes a break. There'll be a time in a week he takes a break, and a time in a month where he takes a break, and probably if we like extend it out to like a year. So I suppose the fact that you go like 100%, like 90% of the time, the fact that you're able to take this like small break where you are able to relax, and even then still getting together with the community and trying to do your best. And I think that you're being very harsh on yourself. You say that you're not being productive, but I've been seeing a lot of stuff kind of pop up online, and I'm sure that you're doing a lot behind the scenes that we're all unaware of as well.
Yeah, no, so alhamdulillah, I mean, like, so last week I actually tweeted out that, look, I'm not posting a video this week, right? And, with everything going on, everybody's human, right? A lot of people ask me, Saf, how do you stay motivated all the time? And the answer to that is, I don't, right? We all have our ups and downs. And, last week, especially, I was kind of going through a bit of a down point where I just was not motivated. I didn't have the energy to be in front of camera. And as you know, being on camera is very different. The saying I always say is, people say a camera adds 10 pounds, right? Okay, you might have heard that saying.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, the camera also takes away like 50% of your energy. So if you're talking to somebody face to face, you'll be absolutely fine. When you're doing that to camera, because what you have to remember is when you're speaking to somebody through a camera, you are not there personally, so that personal element is taken away somewhat. So you have to compensate for that with a lot of energy. So when you see me in my videos, I'm like, what's up, guys? Saf here on SuperSaf TV, like super energetic, right? And you need that, because if I'm like, what's up, guys? It's Saf, like people are going to switch off immediately, right? And last week I just wasn't feeling that energy, Barrett. Like it was just, I was like, I'm just not going to make a video, right? And the challenge that I face, as other YouTubers face, and you might have heard about this as well, is that when you do take a break from YouTube, right, regardless of what YouTube say, it has an impact on your channel, right?
Yeah.
I've taken breaks before where I've come back and then the engagement is just not as much. The algorithm works against you because the algorithm likes you to post content regularly, right? And last week I was just like, so I tweeted out and I was like, I don't even care. I know the algorithm's going to punish me, but I don't even care, right? And thankfully, I had a lot of support from a lot of the followers, and they were all like, look, it's important to take a break. We'll still be here when you come back and stuff like that. And it was appreciated. But what that allowed me to do is kind of like, relax for a little bit, not think about work. And then, alhamdulillah, this week I've been a lot more upbeat. I've been a lot more motivated, a lot more positive, and I've been able to push out 2 videos so far this week. I'm working on another one right now, which inshallah will be coming the weekend, and I'm already planning my content for the week ahead. So that break definitely did help, and I think I want to emphasize that it is important to take a break. Yes, the YouTube algorithms don't work against you, but in the bigger scheme of things, it doesn't even matter, because you'd rather take a week or 2 off than take a year off. Because I have had friends who have disappeared from YouTube for 6 months to a year because they've just had burnout, and they've not been able to come back in the same way. After many, many years of trying, they've just not been able to reestablish that, because their channel, like, it's almost like starting again from scratch, right? So I think it is important to look at that long term and kind of think that, okay, yes, this short-term break is not ideal, it's going to have an impact on me, but it's better than having something that's going to be much worse down the line.
Well, let's delve into tech then. Let's delve into the kind of tech, specifically like various products and apps as well. What I'm intrigued to know, with your kind of extensive knowledge of like doing comparisons, for the people who are listening who want to be able to kind of maximize their days, maximize their weeks using apps and devices, and also for those who perhaps haven't purchased yet, or they're looking to buy a new laptop, they're looking to buy a new phone, and they want to be able to kind of get the one that allows them to kind of gives them the ease of being as productive as possible, as easily as possible, right? And and I'll give you a kind of example as to why that springs to mind. I was gifted the Huawei. No, the Honor smartwatch by Honor, and I had a really great opportunity to test it out for a couple of weeks, and then I was able to compare it with my Apple Watch, which I didn't do like an online comparison or anything, but like I was like able to privately. I actually had one day where I slept with the Honor watch on my left. I don't know if you had a chance to see the Magic Watch 2. To use it.
Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool. So I had the Magic Watch 2 on one wrist and the Apple Watch Series 3 or 5 on the other wrist, and I went to sleep. And I wanted to see like how they track my sleep and like which ones are best for like different forms of productivity and stuff. And and I think that's important for people who if someone was like, we're going into a world now where things like smartwatches are becoming the norm, to have something on your wrist. Things like people are like updating their phones more regularly. So a lot of people are getting like a new phone every September, and laptops are things that people are interested in. Kind of what people tend to have more than one now, like a work laptop and a home laptop, some kind of entertainment devices. And so I think it's quite apt for us to talk about these different devices and kind of what ones you deem, as someone who's been able to compare so many of them, as like ones that work great with productivity. So I always see often a lot of Samsung content on your page, and I'm not one who's had much experience with Samsung. Is there anything that springs to mind that Samsung is like a clear winner in terms of productivity or efficiency that perhaps us Apple guys are missing out on?
I wouldn't say there's anything in particular. You'll see right now that I've got an Apple Watch on, right? But honestly speaking, like, speaking about the Honor watch, it was awesome to see that, by the way. When I saw that come up on Instagram, I was like, I messaged my friend Ali, who's part of the Huawei marketing team. I was like, it's awesome. You got my bro Faisal on there. Yeah, I was super chuffed, man. But yeah, honestly speaking, there is so much out there. It just comes down to what works for you, right? If you're part of the Apple ecosystem, I think obviously the go-to is the Apple Watch, right? You don't necessarily need to get the latest one, right? The latest one does come with additional features, better battery life, always on display, things like that. That's not 100% necessary. I think one of the things that I really like about my Apple Watch, right, is just that it reminds me to stand up every hour, right? Just something as simple as that, because I've got a very bad habit of, when I'm into something, whether that's editing, whether that's, just doing something, I'm kind of zoned in, I will forget to eat, right, as well. I forget standing, like the necessities. The one good thing is like, what I really like is Salah actually helps me break up my day, right? Because I know it's just like, oh no, it's going to be Maghrib soon, right? The sun's going down. I have to stop whatever I'm doing, and I'm going to go ahead and do that. And that's something that I really like. But just having that little alert, which just lets you know that you need to get up. It's been an hour, right? I appreciate that. Now I know a lot of people will be thinking that's, can't you just do that anyway? And it's just like, honestly speaking, for what I'm like and what a lot of people are like as well, I know that once you're kind of engaged into something, it's very difficult to break away from that because you zone in, you forget what's going on around you. So I think for me, like personally, I really like that. That just kind of like gives me that alert to come out. Now, again, technology depends. If you're on the Android ecosystem, there's lots of options out there as well. You mentioned the Honor Watch, there's the Galaxy Watch from Samsung. It really depends on a few things: your budget, your the ecosystem that you're tied into, and you can also like speaking of budget, there's also lots of bands that you can get rather than a full-on smartwatch, which is very expensive, and these cost in the region of I believe there's an Honor band as well, which is around about £30 or something, right?
Okay.
So it's very cheap, but again, it's going to give you a few of those tracking features and things, which will be useful for you. So there are a few options out there in terms of, like, I'm not the most active guy, especially right now during the pandemic. But I think a lot of these little things can help. When you're talking Samsung, there's S Health that's built in that will track your activity during the day. And again, like, just what I used to do a lot before, I switched it off because it was the pandemic and it was making me feel bad. But what you can do on Samsung phones, it's all built in S Health. You can set a daily step target, right?
Okay, nice.
Whether that's 5,000 steps, 10,000 steps, right? And it will remind you during the day that, look, you've got this many steps remaining. And I know I was watching one of Ajmal's vlogs, Silverback AJ, and he was trying to get a certain amount of steps in every single day as part of his fitness regime, right? But like something as simple as a step counter does kind of motivate you. Like, okay, like on I know you use the Apple Watch as well, and the rings that you have, right? Do
I'm not
help
a
you.
fan of them.
You're not a fan of them. Is
No.
that so? Why is that?
You know what, bro? So first of all, like you, I did feel really
Yeah.
guilty because I had a calorie I had like a calorie limit set on the Apple Watch, which was like 750, which it shouldn't be too bad, but I just wasn't hitting it during the pandemic. I was like, oh my God, I was hitting so low, bro. Like, I was like,
Yeah.
why am I looking at this? My ring was like hot. And then I have a friend called Hanan, right? And he has a gym in his garage. And he's like posting every day at like 9 a.m., 8 a.m. and he's like fulfilled all of his rings by like 8, 9 a.m. And I'm at the end of the day and I still haven't. So, but do you know what else, bro? I feel like I really liked how the Magic Watch displayed the fitness side of things. I know that is meant to be more catered towards fitness, and the Apple Watch is meant to be like a more overall watch. But I suppose the two things I really liked about the Honor Magic Watch was the way it displayed everything fitness wise, rather than just rings. It was like the whole face was like that. And I know
Yeah.
you can get the fitness face on Apple Watch, but it just doesn't seem to do the same thing for me. And then the second thing was was a sleep tracking. Like, I find sleep tracking really beneficial. I found it very beneficial, and they had like a built-in sleep tracker. Whereas with Apple, I haven't seemed to. I managed to get one with Apple that like automatic, because I wanted one that basically automatically realizes I'm asleep, right? And it's so the one I got was called Auto Sleep, and that's the only app
Okay.
that I seem to find that kind of automatically detects that you're asleep. But I found huge holes in kind of I ended up finding huge holes in both of them, to be honest. I don't think there's like an
Yeah.
amazing sleep tracking device that exists right now.
Okay, so you mentioned some interesting points there. So I think the thing I want to say there is nothing's perfect, right? And again, there's lots of factors. There's going to be advantages on one side and on the other. And although we're not going to go into a detailed comparison here, there are lots of comparisons online. So if somebody is interested in getting something like that, then as I said, your preference. What are the key things that you want to get out from something like a smartwatch, right? What's your budget? What ecosystem are you currently inside? Because yes, you can use a Samsung smartwatch with any or like, for instance, right now I've got the Galaxy Buds, which I've got connected to my MacBook, right? Because I just like the fit of these, and they fit better than the AirPods for me, right? But when I've got them connected to my Samsung phone, I've got a whole range of features on here which just give me a lot more flexibility, and it's just tuned much better with this device because it's made by the same one. Now, we mentioned sleep tracking. So Apple do have an update coming, and they are going to have better sleep tracking. And that's something that's going to be coming with the next update, the next Apple Watch update. But personally, I don't like to have, I find it distracting because I'm somebody who will sometimes have like my hand or arm behind me or on the side of my face or something, and I don't actually wear a watch during sleeping. A friend of mine actually reached out to me literally yesterday and asked me for my ring size, right? And I was like, what is this?
Oh,
And
nice.
then there's actually one of those sleep tracking rings.
I've
So
heard
that's
about
something
this.
that's something that I find will probably be much better for me because it's less intrusive in your sleep. So that's something that I'm going to be looking into. And we speaking earlier on as well. Like my sleeping is not good. Like it's all over the place, especially right now with the pandemic. I mean, I have no excuse because it's always bad because of time zone changes. But now it's like, I'm at home, but now I'm staying up later. So I'm like kind of here and there. But it's something that, hopefully, I think I definitely am interested in trying out this sleep tracking ring. There's so much out there, though, man. There's so much out there.
Yeah, I think that sleep tracking, if I'm not mistaken, it's called Aura. I admit, perhaps, and I've seen it. Yeah, it seems quite. I'm intrigued to see how it works. So I would love to hear your analysis of it. Or do you think you might do a video on it if you do get
Uh,
gifted it? I think. Are we assuming that you're
yeah.
going to be getting a gift?
Yeah, I mean, it will be sent over once I find out my ring size, which I don't know. But with that, I probably won't do a detailed YouTube video, just because production time for a video, as you know, when you're making a polished YouTube video, can take a few days. I have to prioritize. So I don't think that's going to be something that I'll specifically cover, but it's something that I will, share my thoughts with over social media and, my general views and opinions on that. So yeah, I'll definitely let you know.
Okay, so I think that I want to pick up on something really interesting that you just mentioned, and it's about having a polished YouTube video and production time. I think that there's a lot of people who are watching, and regardless of whether they can relate it to YouTube or not, they will be trying to excel in something in their life. And I think there's a lot of lessons that we can take from trying to excel in YouTube, because there's the issue of consistency, there's the issue of quality, how often, the algorithm, and all of these things really relate to anything in life, right? Like the algorithm of YouTube is just an algorithm, but there's an algorithm of like your whatever work it is that you do. There's an algorithm of your Islamic day, even like 5 times a day
Yeah,
you
yeah.
pray, like your iman inshallah will increase. You increase your Quran, the iman increase. So we could generally like take lessons from this. So and I think we're in a great dynamic to do it, because we're sat here, one like small scale nano influencer YouTuber with one like perhaps more like mainstream influencer, and I know you're going to be humble about
No,
it, but
no.
it will be absolutely just absurd for me to have you on the other end of a live stream and not speak to you and get that kind of advice from you. So for those listening, and of course for myself, what kind of key lessons in order to excel in both YouTube but kind of therefore in life would you recommend?
Okay, so YouTube it's a complicated beast, as you were saying. There's so many aspects and elements to it, and more so now, it's very, very competitive. One of the things I always say is what I love about YouTube is that anybody can make a video right now, literally right now, upload it onto YouTube, and they've become a YouTuber, right? Like you can't do that on anything else. Let's be real. How can you, like, because that's technically what you are, right? You are a YouTuber as soon as you have you have a YouTube channel and you post some content on there, right? And I think that's so empowering because it's just like something that anybody can get into. And I've always been somebody who's always preached to make your own opportunities, right? Don't wait around for something to come around knocking on your door, because it's never going to come, right? You have to go out there and get it. And I think YouTube, what I love about it and what I've always loved about it is that anybody can start making content on there. And if you're passionate enough and if you improve your skills enough, you'll be able to at least establish something on there, and you don't have to wait for somebody's approval. You don't have to audition. You don't have to get a degree for it, right? You don't have to do you don't have to go to film school or anything. You can just go ahead and do it. And that's something that I love about YouTube. And that's one of the reasons why I got into it as well, was because I was just like, how often do you see a brown guy on a UK or British sort of channel? How often do you see somebody presenting, right? Alhamdulillah, now we're seeing a bit of a change coming through, and I love that. But like generally, especially like 5-10 years ago, you wouldn't see anybody, right? So I'm like, what are my chances if I want to share this passion of technology? What are my chances to actually make it to the mainstream? Skip all of that, and I went onto YouTube, and alhamdulillah, being referred to as one of the top influencers in the UK, not only for tech but in general, alhamdulillah, that's really, really awesome. So that's something that I love about YouTube, but it's very complicated, and as I said, it's very, very competitive. So when it comes to something like YouTube, in particular, we'll touch on the general element as well. I think it's important to go in with the right mindset, right? I get a lot of people who want to become a YouTuber for the wrong reasons, I would say. Whether that's because I want to become famous, I want to make a lot of money, right? Or something like that. And for me personally, all of the popular YouTubers I know, all of my friends, I don't know a single one who went in because they wanted to be famous. That was never the intention. I don't know one of them, not a single one of them, that went in because they wanted to make a lot of money. Reason being is because the way YouTube is, it's very complicated and it's very, very competitive. Because the positive, as I mentioned, anybody can upload a video and become a YouTuber. That's also can be a negative because you've got so much more competition than you would have anywhere else, for instance, right? Because literally I think the current stats are there's 400 hours of YouTube video being uploaded every single minute, right? Wow. It might be 500 now, right? I remember I did a talk at Blackburn University when I had about 8,000 subscribers. The statistics then were 100 hours of YouTube video being uploaded every single minute. Now it's 4 or 5 times that, right? So Casey Neistat mentioned a really, really important thing. He said, it's harder today to become a YouTuber than it was yesterday, but it's going to be harder tomorrow to become a successful YouTuber than it is today. And I was just like, hit the nail on the head, right? Yes, it's difficult. I'm not going to lie, but it's going to be more and more difficult. So if you carry on waiting around for something, it's not going to happen. So what I would say is, if somebody is thinking about, being a YouTuber or just, trying to achieve something, is go out and do it. Don't wait around, right? Your first videos are going to be bad. And I'm sure, first of all, you probably look back at some of your first videos and you think, wow, I
just recently unlisted a whole bunch.
There you go. But that's natural, right? With anything that you do, you're not going to be a master straight away, right? The way you become better at something is by doing more of it, right? Okay, and I'll give you an example. You mentioned Salah, which I thought was very important, because I was a Ramadan Muslim, right? I'll be completely honest with you. So what would happen is at the start of Ramadan, I'll be fully motivated. You get that initial charge, right? You're praying all of your Salah, and you're praying your full Salah. You're praying all of your Sunnah. You're praying all of your Nafils, everything, right? A few days in, that starts fading because you just can't keep up with it, right? Now, I would always do that in the same way that I would always grow a beard, right? At the start of Ramadan, by Eid it will come off, right? And I'll be, I'm not proud of it, but I'll be completely honest with that. Now, what happened is one Ramadan, what really changed it for me was I was speaking to, I believe, my cousin or somebody, and we kind of said, look, at the end of the day, concentrate on your fard, because that's what's the important part, right? Okay, and pray your fard, right? And that year, alhamdulillah, I carried on praying Salah after Ramadan because it wasn't overwhelming for me, right? But the point was, you had to do it. So then right now, if somebody goes to me, how do I, keep up with Salah? The one thing I always say to them is, look, don't think too much into it. Put your fart, right? Okay. It's very simple. 5 times a day, 5 minutes, right? Okay. It's not too much. And if anything, as I said, I see it as a break in my day because I know, okay, I need to get away from this to get back to it, right? But it is the case of getting and starting it, because if you keep saying, oh, I'm going to start it next week, you'll never start it, because that will keep getting pushed forward. And in the same way in YouTube, if you want to do something, go ahead, do it. You're not going to get a million views on your first video. Let's be real here, right? You're not going to get maybe not even 100 views. But the point is, once you go out there and you do it, you get a feel for it, you'll get feedback, you'll do it again, and then over time, it is a case of patience. You will get better and better, and more consistent with what you do, and you'll improve, and inshallah, you'll get successful with time.
Do you think that people often don't action things and don't do things because we think that it's not going to work, or that what's the point? And the people who seem to be successful in anything are the ones who ignore that side thought and do the action.
100%. You'll never know until you try it, right? And that's one of the things. I think a lot of people, I speak to so many people and they're like, oh, I've wanted to do this for ages. And I'm like, why haven't you done it, right? And this reason, that reason. It's just like, look, find a way to do this, right? Because once you actually, get rid of all those excuses, then you'll see. And if it doesn't work out, at least you know what I mean? Every experience is an experience, whether it's good or bad, right? And that's the way I see things. When I look back, as I was saying, there's a lot of things that I'm not proud of, right? But I know if I never had that experience, I wouldn't have realized, learned from it, and become better in whatever I'm doing now, right? And I think that's very important, to take every experience as an overall positive in the bigger scheme of things, in the bigger picture. I'll give you an example, like one of the things. So when I initially grew a beard, right? I used to get so many messages from people saying, Saf, can you do like a beard tips video, right? And I was just like, nah. It's a tech channel. Shall I do it? And I did it. I kept putting it off. And then I was like, you know what? I'm going to just do it, right? That video is on currently, I mean, it's an old video, but it's on 500,000 views, right? Wow. Now, it was very successful, alhamdulillah, but it was something that I was very reluctant in doing. But if I never had done it, I would have never had known, right? And, alhamdulillah, it worked out very positively. But at the same time, there's lots of things that I was just like, okay, I'll try this, and they didn't work, right? But again, that's the only way to find out, is to actually go out and action and do it.
Yeah. Do you think that because you went out and tried loads of different things, that's how you're able to refine and now get it to a process where you seem to have a very consistent on-brand post every single week, as opposed to trying like loads of different things where, or even like work, because within the tech YouTube space, I would say like you have a market within the tech space as well. Like, it's not just you're a tech YouTuber, but you're like a tech YouTuber, and you can tell when it's a SuperSaf video, right? Whereas you could say, oh, because I'm a tech YouTuber, I'm going to now do like one day I'm going to do a video about apps, and then smart home, and then phones, and then a review. And you don't. You stick to very on-brand stuff. Does that come into consistency? Is there a lesson we can take from that in like general life?
I think, well, for YouTube, I'd say it's generally online, it's important to find a niche, right? And I think that's very important, because when you're looking on the bigger picture, there is so much stuff out there, right? Okay. You really need to kind of like, if you're trying to do something that literally appeals to everyone, right, you're going to be lost in the sea, right, of hundreds of hours of content that's being uploaded every single minute. So I think it's important to find a niche. So for me, that niche was tech, right? It's something that I'm personally passionate about, and I think passion is something that's very important as well. You have to do something that you actually like and care about, right? I've seen a lot of people who have tried to become tech YouTubers not because they're into tech, it's just because they think it's going to be something easy to become big in, right? And I've seen many fail because of that reason, because they are not truly passionate about what they do. Being somebody brown, my parents, my mom especially wanted me to be a doctor, right? And I don't blame her, because obviously it's cultural, and she really wanted me to be a doctor. And I really did not enjoy that, right? Like, science was not my forte. In the same way, a lot of my friends were like, you got to be in maths for GCSE, you should become an accountant, right? There's a lot of money in accounting. If I really put my head to it, inshallah, I think, I could have been either of those things, right? Would I be a good doctor? I very much doubt it. Would I be a good accountant? I very much doubt it. Yes, I'd get to the base level, right? Would I excel in that? No, I would not, because I wouldn't be passionate about it, right? My mom didn't know what the name of my degree was, multimedia computing, until Alhamdulillah I got a first, and got an award for being, getting the top results in the year and coming in the newspaper. Then she was telling everyone, my son, multimedia computing, right? But she was so proud. But at the same time, if I had tried to be a doctor and went down the science route, would I have got that first class degree? No, because I wasn't passionate about it. So I think that's, again, it comes down to it as well. Like, it's important to find something. It's not easy to find what you're passionate about, but whatever you're passionate about, I think it's very important to, concentrate on that, because if you do things for, like, coming back to YouTube, if you want to do something to become famous or make lots of money, right, that's going to fade. That passion is going to fade very quickly because it's unpredictable, right? Whereas if it's something that you're passionate about, then, you will automatically, I feel anyway, excel in that area, because you will go above and beyond to do whatever it is that you need to, just because you have a love for that, right? And in the same way, again, I think establishing that niche makes you stand out better within that niche than if you were to go on, if you're trying to go too wide. I don't know if I kind of went a little bit off topic there.
It's so interesting, and it's interesting. Do you know what? It's interesting to hear from yourself, because with the things that you talk about, you've actually done, and so it's always nice to get like a kind of top-down approach where you're saying, okay, this is what I managed to achieve, and then you can break down now how you managed to do it, as opposed to people like myself trying to guess the right way. So it's very interesting. What I want to do though now, there's this thing that we do. So as you know, when we are Freshly Grounded, what we do is we have great conversations, and one of the things that we're doing is we're utilizing that to I don't want to give too much information, but we're basically gonna we're starting a campaign very soon that's gonna hopefully enhance people's conversations with their loved ones, with their friends, with their parents, with their children, with their brothers and sisters. And I'm gonna have to leave it at that for now. But what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna use some of the questions that we have in that campaign on you, and I want you to be vulnerable. Okay.
Okay.
And what? But because I didn't expect I was going to do that, I don't have the questions in there. I have a few that I remember from my head. I've got some in this WhatsApp conversation, but I'm going to see if I can get Kareem to actually send me them, this list. Let me have a look. Let me see if Kareem's in the other room. Give me a second.
Let's go for it.
Kareem? Oh, you are here. Okay, I'm live on YouTube right now, but could you send me? Like, how are you going to share it with me?
Gotta love live streams, right?
I know. On WhatsApp. Can you get it to my phone somehow? Or maybe on WhatsApp. Yeah. All right. So, Kareem's gonna somehow get this over to me, and then we'll do a few of these, and then we'll see. We'll call it quits, but if it turns to tears, then we might have to call it quits sooner rather than later. Let's see how deep it goes.
It does this. I've got these covered, so
yeah. Oh, I'm accidentally. What I'll do though, bro, is I do have before he sends me them, I do have one or two here that I know of. So okay, here's the question. Are you ready for it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm on. I was thinking, where are they? Because I was on the chat with you. Okay, first question to Saf. What was the point in your life when you started really believing in yourself, when you realized that you could do it, whatever it is? Was there a turning point?
I mean, I struggle with that still. It's like, can I really do this? I think it's just natural. I think, for me, it's kind of the opposite because I was a bit too overconfident at certain points in my life, right? I was just like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do this, right? And I think that's also a risk because, there's a fine line between confidence and arrogance, right? And I think I did step over that a few times, right? But generally, I think it's something that it's generally a balance, I think, with me. So sometimes I'm very confident I can do something, but even now, as being human, you do doubt yourself a lot of the times, right? But I think it's important to realize that that's just part of the process, right? You will doubt yourself at certain times, but it's a phase that will go, and other times you will be very confident in yourself. If there was is there a particular turning point? I don't think there's a specific turning point, to be honest.
Fine. Next question.
Go on.
Who do you appreciate that probably doesn't know it?
Who do I appreciate that probably doesn't know it? Appreciate my family, man. My brother Riz works with me. You've met Riz.
Yeah. Lovely
Really
guy.
helps me out a lot. Yeah, really helps me out a lot. Especially in the background as well. There's my cousin Cass, who hopefully you'll meet as well. In the background, just having people to just be completely open with. I think that really helps, and I do appreciate them a lot. They might not know because I don't mention them publicly too much, but yeah.
Okay, I like that. We're going to keep going with a few. I'm liking these responses. I feel like I'm digging deep into the heart of SuperSaf. Okay. Okay, fine. So I'm going to I'm trying to find one that, because I'm not trying to go too. I'm trying to I'm trying to keep that balance, Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
fine.
I'm trying to be smart because we're on a live stream. There's no way of editing them out. Okay. Fine. Here we go. I've got one coming up. Where is it gone? That's a good one, but okay. When I think of meeting Allah, I feel blank.
Wow. that's oof, man. When I think of meeting Allah, okay. This is something that I'm going to tie back to something that I saw one of your podcasts, which hit me hard, bro. I messaged you about this, right?
Okay. Wow.
When I think of meeting Allah, I think of forgiveness, right? And this is something like, bro, honestly, I when I saw that podcast, it was with Brother Hamza, whose surname I still cannot pronounce properly.
Zortis,
right? One of the things that I've always struggled with, right? This is something that I've never mentioned publicly before, right? So it's something that's quite important. One of the things I've always struggled with is how can I use my platform for good? Because Islamically, any good that you do, well, ideally should be private, right? If you give with your right hand, your left hand shouldn't know, as you've had, right? So one of the things I've always struggled with is how do I use my platform for good without making it about me? Because that's something I'm always afraid of. That look, yes, I want to do something, right? But how do I do that in the right way without, it being about me all the time? Because that's a risk that I think it's so common in this sort of field, and it's very easy to get carried away as well without realizing. So I had always struggled with this, but then in that podcast, Brother Hamza mentioned he's doing great work with Aira and stuff, and he mentioned something that really struck with me, man. Like it was beautifully said. Now I'm going to paraphrase it, not in the right way. I definitely recommend going back to that podcast and listening to it. But he said that any good that he does publicly, he does not expect any reward for it, right? Does not expect any reward for it. What he's in the hope of is that Allah will forgive him for his mistakes, right? And for any sort of personal satisfaction that he might have had from doing these good, these public good deeds, that Allah will forgive him for that, and those bad deeds will be turned into good. And I was just like, wow, man, like that hit me so like on another level, man, because now, alhamdulillah, I will try to do more on my platform. I don't expect any reward for it. I'm doing it, but then I'm hopeful that Allah will forgive my will accept my forgiveness, inshallah.
Wow, that is very, very powerful stuff. I asked you to get vulnerable, and I was very vulnerable, and I think that's a really powerful one, man, because it's true. I heard the same thing like when I recently interviewed brother Kamal, who works with one. I always forget the name because there's so many ones in like our in like
One
brand names.
nation,
So
one
many
this, yeah,
brands.
yeah.
Yeah, so many brands have one in their name. But One Path Network, and they do like really amazing stuff in Australia, right? And he said the same thing. He said like I just like assume that all of my public deeds like are not accepted, so that it makes him work harder in his private deeds. Are you okay to do 3 more questions? Should we say 3 more?
Sure, man.
And then call it. All right,
Of
cool.
course, as many as you want.
I'm
Yeah, yeah.
enjoying this. All right, we'll leave it at 3 so that I don't take too much time, and I'll try and get a balance. So let's do like a. Do you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna go for another serious one, and we'll end it with the last one being kind of what beat. So let's say, okay, that's a powerful one. Okay. Let's ask. I'm going to ask you this one because it's one where like two people, and we are 2 people. Alhamdulillah. What's a question you've wanted to ask me but haven't been able to? There you go. You can flip it. You can flip it. So I'll let you have a think about that while I look for another one.
Okay.
And I'll be open.
Man. I mean, the thing with you is you've always been open, man. I mean, I'm pretty open with you as well. So, I let me think of I'm sure I can get you a good question. Okay.
Yeah, no, don't worry about time, bro. It's
Okay.
better that we get quality. I'm searching through the questions anyway.
Okay. I think I've got
Okay.
one, which will be
Okay.
interesting. All right.
Fine.
What's the one thing you would change about Freshly Grounded? If you could go back and change
That's
one
powerful.
thing.
Wow. Ooh, that's a really good question.
Reversed it back on you with the deep questions.
Oh man.
I like this. It's good to like kind of flip the seats.
Yeah, and it's good to flex the muscles in the brain.
Yeah, man. You can come back to that one if you want.
No, I wanna give it. I wanna give that an answer. I think what I would change is I would like because we got freshly grounded going, and I felt like we had a good thing going and it was going well, and alhamdulillah it's still going well. I get stuck in okay, it's not broken, so let's not fix it. Where I feel like earlier on it would have been great to expand faster so we can approach more people in different ways, right? So like we moved on to the events, which is really cool, but and I think we did the events at the best time, but then like adding more elements of Freshly Guided and turning it from being just a podcast to being like a big network of like the same kind of message but in different formats, right? Like the podcast is long form but like maybe some short form stuff. And alhamdulillah, I suppose you could see like a sneak preview in the back. We just finished making a new set which you can't fully see on purpose, but we're planning to do that now, but I suppose to have done that faster, and I think that the thing that motivates it is I do like the idea of having like of just growing the amount of people seeing it, not because of the fact that I think that I have something to give, but I think that when I see the team work so hard and the team believe in it, and I see the messages that we get, I feel like if we can maybe just get that message out to more people, it'll be really, really powerful. And so like we got a message today from a person who, so what we did is we sent out these Patreon, for our patrons, we sent out these like really nice letters, right, to them, where basically we just explain how much we appreciate them. And they were, I wanted to make sure that they were like the top quality there. So we got like that corded paper that like if the royal family sends you an invite, it's like that type of paper. And we didn't think too much of it other than, look, we really appreciate like the people who support us. But we got a message today from someone who basically said that, I've been having a really tough time recently because of everything that's been going on. I've lost my job, don't know what to do, like don't know what I'm looking for, and things are just really tough. And I got this letter and it just warmed my heart, and I feel like sometimes I feel like I just need something. I'm the type of person that needs something on in the background at all times and stuff like that, and Freshly Grounded does that for me. And I said to the boys in the office, I said, that's one human, right? That's like one creation of Allah. And if we do all of Freshly Grounded just so one human, one creation of Allah who has a beating heart like we do, get some kind of like positive message out of what we do, it all makes it worth it. Because that person has a beating heart, right, like we do. And for me, my world is everything is surrounded around me, right? Because I am my world, because I am me. I live for you, Saf. Your world is surrounded around you. And for that person's world is surrounded by them. And for that entire person who has a family, who has emotions, who has thoughts, that person, we provide something of value to that person. And shall I tell you one thing that I found so more powerful about this person? And we find this so much with the Freshly Grounded audience, is that with everything that person has got going on, the whole reason we even have this connection is because that person is a patron. And when they lost their job and they fell upon hard times, the one thing that you would think that they would do is remove any payments that perhaps right now justifiably are like payments that perhaps they just don't want to make right now and justifiably, yet they kept that Patreon payment because they supported Freshly Grounded. And that to me shows what our audience like, and it shows what Muslims are like, bro. When Muslims go for tough times, they decide to give. Whereas like that's like unheard of. So I think that in order to get hopefully like positivity out to more people, just like expand at a faster rate, but that's in the hands of Allah. And to be honest, as much as I would have liked to have done that faster, I'm content with how it went.
Yeah, alhamdulillah. And I think you mentioned some good points there, man. Like, you said just reaching out to one person. I give you my personal example, right? After listening to that podcast, that hit hard, and that was one of the points there. But like, we had a conversation about cutting down on meat. So again, I'm never going to be vegan, but alhamdulillah, I have, and there was a lot of points in that conversation which kind of hit home as well and really helped. So I'm an example here for you right now that, listening to Freshly Grounded podcast, has had an impact on me personally as well. So, those are two examples there, but the thousands of others, even if it's just the smallest of, a very small segment which has impacted them in a positive way, alhamdulillah, man. And that's the thing. I mean, like, inshallah, you guys obviously pray you get rewarded for getting those messages out there as well, because going back to that example, as a result of that, I am now much more open to doing charitable things using my platform, which before I was very reluctant to do for those reasons, but now it's made me a lot more open to that. So, inshallah, any reward that, as I said, I'm not expecting reward from that, but inshallah, you guys will get rewarded for that.
That is
for that influence.
Wow. All right, Saf, we've got two more questions. I've got the next one lined up, and I've got both of the next two lined up. So the next one is, I suppose, another one where you'd have to think deep, and then the one after that is like a nice upbeat way to end it. So the next question is, one of Allah's names translated, it kind of translates to your protecting friend, or like your protective friend. So like a friend of yours who protects you. That's one of Allah's names like loosely translated. Name a time in your life where you felt that name in existence.
Man. Wow. Um, if I'm honest with you, bro, there's many times that I felt that, you know, one of the things I was having a conversation with my cousin Cass, who I mentioned, and he's one of the guys that I can talk about anything to, right? And it's so important to have those people in your lives. And one of the things he mentioned to me was, you know, we everybody and everything in this world is temporary, right? And we were talking about how with the world of social media, it's become even more difficult to fully get that connection, because I see a lot of people who are going through a bad time and they post about it on social media, right? And I'm like thinking, because I don't know them that well, so I'm like thinking, look, that is not necessarily the place for for this particular thing. What you want to do is you want to speak to somebody personally, right? Because we are humans at the base of it, and we need that face-to-face interaction. We need somebody who truly understands us, knows us. Somebody on your feed might know you through your content, but they're not going to know you personally, right? And I think that's so important. But at the same time, again, everything in this world is temporary, right? Somebody may, but by no fault of their own, might not be there for you all the time, right? Maybe they've got personal things going on. Maybe they're going through a hard time themselves. We all go through hard times. The one constant in your life always will be Allah, right? So I know, regardless of where I am in the world, right? It could be 4 a.m. here in the UK while I'm traveling somewhere else, right? I can just get down and, reach out to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? And that connection, you're not going to get anywhere else. And I think that's so important because, at many times, again, I don't think I can just remember something specific, but there are so many times where, that is that connection that you always fall back onto. And, subhanAllah, it's always so helpful, because when you can't find somebody, at least you know that you always do have Allah. And just knowing that is so, so powerful.
Okay, last question. Last question is, when was the last time you laughed so hard that your stomach hurt? And I think that that's a specific type of laugh that happens so rarely in a person's life, where you are actually crying, your stomach's hurting, and you want it to stop because your stomach actually hurts too much now. When was the last time that happened?
When was the last time that happened? Man. Okay, something that happened recently, which was really funny. Okay, and it was actually on another live stream. It was my friend. It was my friend Enabong. So he's got a channel, Bored at Work. So he does tech reviews and stuff as well, right? So he was doing a live stream. Now we all went on to troll him on this live stream, as you do, right?
Yeah.
Now this one guy popped on, and he was like, "Oh, can you please make this review on this laptop? Because I want to re-upload it on my channel." Okay? And we were like, hold on, what? Then it turned out that this guy was a big fan, and literally what he was doing was, to show his appreciation, he was re-uploading every single one of his videos onto his own channel. And he was asking him to do this new review because his audience that he's built up through stolen videos wanted to see this laptop review. And we were all of us guys, we were messaging each other on a separate chat, but we were also trolling him, and I was just in tears because I was like, this guy just does not get it. Now, obviously, no bad intention on his part. He probably doesn't get the whole copyright thing, and how it actually doesn't benefit you if you re-upload something. But the fact that he actually asked you, Faisal, if I came up to you and it's like, can you cover this topic because I want it for my channel?
Yeah,
no credit whatsoever. And I was laughing for a long time. I was literally in tears because. And especially the moment of him being live and him trying to react to this, sorry, what? You're gonna re-upload my video? But yeah, that was something that was quite funny. That's the first one that comes to mind because it was quite recent.
You know what? Well, you know what's funny is that bless him, he probably had no idea he just getting this. He probably didn't get the system, and that's what makes you funny.
Yeah, it is because he just didn't get it, and he's like, no, but I'm re-uploading your videos because I like them. And it's like, no, that doesn't help, bro. But it
You know
was, yeah,
what?
it was funny.
There's a type of joke that really makes me laugh. I can't think of like a proper example of it now, but it's like the type of joke where someone would say like, if you could do X or Y, and it's like two like really obvious questions, right? Like if you could like I don't know. There's no a joke that I can think of, but like it's like,
Yeah,
and then like and then it assumes your answer by saying like which Y would you do or something. But I find them so
yeah,
funny, man. Like, but I just can't think
yeah.
of an example. Do you get the type of joke that I'm
I,
talking about?
I know exactly the jokes that I can't mention them because a lot of them are inappropriate
Yeah,
sometimes. But yeah, it's two extreme options which you would never want, but you
yeah,
have to pick one or the other, like which is the lesser of two evils and why.
yeah.
I know what you're talking about, and yeah, they're really interesting.
I find them
But
really funny.
I'm glad you don't have one for me right now.
Yeah, because that would be really awkward. Yeah, but no, I appreciate that. I remember the last time I was laughing till it hurt, and it was with the boys in the office, and we were just like, I just kind of it was actually a very similar scenario. Um, we were just looking at like some YouTube comments and stuff, and no ill will. But I think like it was actually hate comments on like on a Freshly Ground episode, and for some reason, and normally like people say like, oh, like I find hate comments funny, but like I'm not that guy. Like I don't like hate comments. Alhamdulillah, we really don't get them often, and if we did, it would like probably like really hurt. So I'm not the type of person that's normally like, oh yeah, like I don't care. But this time we were just all in a really funny mood, and someone was just like ripping me to shreds. And it was things that like we talk about all the time, like me speaking really fast, or like sometimes, or like when I talk, I like sing the end of my words and stuff like that. And some people like really creatively like mocked those things about me, and for some reason we were just in like the right mood to read them, and it just all
Yeah.
kind of came together. So yeah, alhamdulillah.
But that's
Uh,
quite positive because, I think that's one of the ways to kind of take that, because, there is a lot of negativity online,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah,
And sometimes the best way to kind of counter that is through humor and laughter, right?
definitely.
And, like, I think, you Faisal, like, you're such a positive, and
I
just,
appreciate that, man.
mashallah, you're just a nice guy. And, taking that on the chin and just laughing about it, I think is the best way. And that's, it's not easy to do. It's easier said than done. And obviously it depends on the situation. You could be going through a really bad day. You could read that and it can just bring you even more down,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and
But
that's
I think
happened,
that
man.
situation, and yeah, it does. And this is the thing, like we're coming back to the positives and negatives. I always say this whenever I'm speaking to anybody is that, look, with everything there's positives and negatives, but it's very important to try to concentrate on the positives and realize that the negative will always be there. It's just part of life. But that negative, the positive outweighs the negative. And I think that's so important to just have an outlook on YouTube, but just generally in life.
100%, 100%. Saf, I really appreciate the time, man. I'm really grateful
Yeah.
that you
Thanks,
that you
man.
joined me. And I just kind of asked on a whim, and you like always you're up for it. Somebody asked me recently. They said like, what's the difference between these live streams you'll be doing on your channel and Freshly Grounded? And I think the difference really, like the key difference is that the live streams, right? With Freshly Grounded, we don't always have the opportunity to do these live, for many reasons. And the fact that I just get to have live chat with you, I think it makes it so authentic, and we're able to kind of interact with the audience live as well. And so really cool things come from it, and people are always so busy and stuff, so it's lovely to just grab your attention, and we're all one community live having a nice a bit of a natter together. So appreciate your time like always, bro, and I pray
Yeah.
that we can meet in person again soon, man.
Yeah, man. No, thank you for having me, man. I appreciate the chat. And, I can, we didn't have much of a
Agenda,
chat before this, which kind of worked out quite well because it was very spontaneous. And, as you said, it's live. So, a lot of the things I wasn't expecting to talk about. So I'm glad we got a chance to firstly catch up. It's good to see you, even if it's digitally.
yeah,
Inshallah, we'll
inshallah.
meet properly soon. But yeah, it was a very cool chat, man. So really appreciate you having me, bro.
What did you think of the conversation campaign vague thing that we're planning to do? What did you think of those questions? Did they
I
make
think
you
they were
think?
really good, man, because I think a lot of the times when you really want to get to know a person, it is about being spontaneous, you know, I didn't, as I said, I didn't really come preparing anything here. And I think, the answers you get with that are very genuine, and it's not something that you've kind of thought about or scripted before. And I think a lot of times that's when you really get to know a person through that. It's like like if me and you went out for dinner like we did last time for that Turkish, which was so good. That's the first time I had lamb with was it lamb or chicken with hummus? That was
Oh
so
yeah,
good, man.
it was. Do you know what? It was. I think we ordered chicken. We ordered hummus shawarma, but
Yeah.
what we meant was hummus awarma because the
Okay.
shawarma is with the lamb with the orange. So I think we ended up having
Yeah.
like one or the other. Yeah, but it was really
It was
lovely.
so good though, regardless. But
Yeah,
like having an open chat with somebody, and I think that's something that we're doing that, but it's live and everybody else is involved as well. So you know, inshallah, somebody, even if it's one person, picked up something positive from that, and if that's the case, then it's well worth it, man.
cool. I really appreciate it, man. I'm gonna end the stream here. You just stay there, and then I'll say bye to you once again. All right, guys. Thank you so much for checking out the live stream, and inshallah we'll be back soon with another one. Jazakallah khair. Okay.